It's time to get our hands dirty today and dig deep into the altcoin market. Today, I'm going to be running through all of the altcoins that are on my current accumulation list across some of the major crypto sectors like layer ones, AI, crypto gaming, and much more. You'll want to stick around until the end of the video because I've got alpha nuggets sprinkled all throughout the video, including at the end where I reveal an altcoin trade, which seems like a bit of a no-brainer right now, but we're going to get degen today and go through a lot of the altcoin market. Now, today's video isn't a comprehensive list of my full portfolio. I'll probably do an updated portfolio video in the coming weeks. Rather, it's a list of current altcoins that I've recently been accumulating or I'm currently accumulating right now on major dips. So this video is to share with you the types of coins that I'm currently buying and not necessarily ones that are already in my portfolio. So clearly this video will be biased towards coins that A, I don't have enough exposure to and thus would like to gain more exposure, or B, are showing relative strength in the market. So I'm longing on the basis that they're going to outperform. So if your favorite altcoin isn't in here, that is probably why. Don't worry, it doesn't mean I've sold it or I'm not bullish anymore. I just wanted to bring you the most relevant video at the current time. So what's happened over the last few days in the altcoin market? Well, the first thing that happened is we got a major flush, which honestly is really healthy for the market. I don't really get these people in a bull market that start panicking and going crazy every time there's a major dip, because the thing is, dips are very healthy and actually really important to have in a healthy, sustainable bull market structure. Otherwise, what happens is funding gets way too crazy like it was getting 4 or 5 days ago. So having this reset, this general leverage flush amongst the market was amazing. But obviously today, a lot of the altcoins are bouncing back strongly, and this is a good sign that risk appetite is still in the market, and that was just a normal bull market flush. So the real key to succeeding in this bull run actually lies in these dips. I did a show on this last week, which I'll link in the description below, which runs through this entire strategy. But what I like to do is A, accumulate on dips, but B, identify which coins actually perform the strongest during these dips. So how quickly do they recover afterwards? Those are the types of coins that you want to be longing in a bull market for maximum results, because you want exposure to the strongest coins in the bull run if you want exposure to the biggest profits in the bull run. And my number one tip for this is to use an application like Velo, where you can compare side by side the price action of altcoins during dips. So you can see during the major dip last night, Solana is now actually higher than it was pre-dip. AVAX is the exact same. It had a flush out, but it actually responded even higher. However, coins like Doge, they haven't recovered yet from their dip, and Stargate had a small bounce, but it's still lower than what it was pre-dip. So using this as a tool, you can work out relative strength. So you can even create a framework here where you have Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then you can compare the altcoins you're looking at buying with Bitcoin and ETH and seeing how they respond on dips. The market is showing its hand every time there is a major dip. So it's so important to take this information and help this shape your accumulation list of altcoins. And that's exactly what I'm doing in today's video. I'm going to give you the altcoins based on what I've noticed over not just the last dip yesterday, but the last few dips we've had, because there is some reoccurring themes in the market that keep cropping up that I think hold the secret to the strongest bull market gains. And just remember, in a bull run, buying dips is actually your optimal strategy to accumulate. If you want to look at the crypto market in 2021, you can see on the run up to new all-time highs, this is the total 3 market cap. So this is the crypto market excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, so just altcoins. You had a major dip in August. You had 2 major flush outs in November and December. You had a very big flush in February of 21 where people panicked, but of course, prices ended up pushing up higher, only to have another flush out in April. Prices pushed higher. We had that major flush in June, and then the second leg to the upside. So you had what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 opportunities during major flushes to accumulate. Now, yesterday's flush was a little bit smaller than some of these. It was probably more akin to the December flushes of 2020, but these are very clear opportunities to add to your bag. So when you have these strong coins that you know the market is currently preferring and you have your buy list ready, then on these red days, you can pull the the trigger and accumulate, and that's where you're going to get the best results. So let's stop rambling and let's get into the list of altcoins that I have on my accumulation list. And hopefully by the end of the video, you have a much better idea as to what I am personally doing. If you do want to trade any of these altcoins, by the way, or just buy and sell any of these alts, you can do so on BitGet. They have most of the major listings. And if you sign up for a new account today, you can get up to a $30,000 sign up bonus just for signing up via the link in the description. So if you do want to trade, I've got a link for you down there to get you a nice sign up bonus. Let's start with the layer ones first. Layer ones right now are an extremely hot trade. In fact, in tomorrow's video, I'm going to delve deeper into the layer one sector to kind of contextualize where I currently think the layer ones are headed, because they're exhibiting a pattern that's very similar to 2021. But the TLDR and the sneak peek from tomorrow's video that I'll give you today is that layer ones are once again dominating the bull market. I mean, last cycle, there was this whole narrative of we don't have enough block space, we need block space, we need infrastructure. And although a lot of people thought that would die off heading into 2024, 2025, it hasn't. The market still laps up infrastructure bets. It still loves these network plays, and the VCs also can't get enough of these layer ones. You look at a lot of the new raises, a lot of them are layer ones, layer twos, general network infrastructure. The market really does gravitate towards because it assigns it much higher valuations than dApps. Even if the dApps have more users than TVL, for some reason, the layer ones themselves always trade at a premium and a high speculative premium. So for that reason, getting into layer ones in a bull market typically does yield great results, and it typically outperforms versus other narratives, and we're seeing it again this cycle. So Solana is a very clear one. On dips, I think Solana is a great one. I also think Solana is an interesting candidate for parking some profits. So in yesterday's take profit video, I talked about how I would rotate some profits into stables, Bitcoin, and also back into the market. If you want a lower risk way of going back into the market without going into riskier alts, I think Solana does fit this bill, as I think generally it's going to hold up better than a lot of other alts, but still give you that principal market exposure you might be looking for when it comes to rotating. I do recommend watching that video because not a lot of people are covering taking profits, and I gave you my full guide yesterday. Some people weren't happy with the thumbnail or the title of the video, but I think in the video I made it very clear that I'm not selling, I'm actually buying on major dips, but I do have a plan to sell, and that plan starts to get triggered when my indicators hit. So if you do want more details on my take profit strategy, because obviously taking profits is just as important as buying in terms of making money in crypto, you can check that video out. I'll also link it in the description. So in terms of Solana, I think it's still a great bet this bull run. It still has strength. I mean, the community is so strong. The dev ecosystem is so strong. And Solana is one that I've been bullish on for a long, long time. You can see in front of you, I've tweeted multiple times throughout the bear market about how I like Solana, how I was optimistic about the future of Sol, how I was actually buying Sol during the Robinhood forced sales. In hindsight, how amazing was that opportunity to get a last chance to buy Solana under $15 when Robinhood was forced selling? Absolutely crazy. We had more Galaxy FTX FUD, which was another place where I was buying once again. And I also updated you guys on this channel. So subscribers of this channel got a reminder in September 8th, 2023, that I was buying Solana once again around the time of the Robinhood saga. And since then, the price is up more than 10x. So if you aren't subscribed already to this channel, make sure you subscribe so I can keep you up to date in this market and give you altcoin guides, opportunities, trades, and more, and hopefully some more banger calls like Solana, which is now sitting at a 10x alongside many, many others. Okay, let's move on to some other layer ones now. Avalanche. Avalanche is extremely strong, and it does seem like we're running the Solunavax minus the Luna part narrative back from 2021. These layer ones still have preferential bias for a lot of this retail coming back into the market. So the same reason why I think people are gravitating towards meme coins is the same reason why I think they're gravitating towards AVAX and Sol. A lot of retail has been absent for a few years now. They're coming back into the market, so they're naturally going to long and gravitate towards and feel synergy with the tokens that they made a lot of money on last cycle, or at least saw pumping a lot last cycle. And that's why Avalanche, Solana, Sol are also doing well, in my opinion. So in light of this L1 narrative coming back to life, Avalanche, I think, is a good bet. And a lot of that also is being propelled by their partnerships with major gaming companies as well. You can see Avalanche now has a partnership with Nexon, Korea's biggest gaming studio. So that's been amazing. But if you want to take on more risk, there are some interesting things in the Avalanche ecosystem. Joe is a position that I'm currently in. I'm in a Joe long because I believe that it has meme power, but it also has utility with their DEX. So you've got the DEX, which is generating real fees, and the more that people trade these meme coins, the more fees it accrues, and also it's a bit of a meme in itself. So it kind of has that meme power combined with the positive flywheel of earning income when more memes are traded. So Joe, in terms of an AVAX proxy, just keep in mind it is a riskier proxy, is a position that I'm in. And also Cock is an interesting meme coin as well, another proxy that's also performing quite well. So what I like to generally do when I invest in a layer 1 ecosystem, I'll put 70 to 80% of the principal in the layer 1, and then 20 to 30% of my bag will be in the ecosystem, just to give me some higher beta exposure if that trade takes off, to be able to do more multiples, because these lower caps do pump harder. Now, the reverse is true. When the market crashes, these crash harder. So you do have to keep that in mind as well, and that's why the 70 to 80% weighting for me is quite good. The next one I want to discuss is Say. Say is another super hot trade. It gives you exposure to a very unique narrative, which is EVM parallelization. Monad is a behemoth that's going to be launching soon, which incorporates this into its consensus, but Say is one of the only available tradable proxies in the market right now, combined with the fact that it's an L1. People love these standalone non-EVM L1s. It's in the Cosmos ecosystem. Cosmos itself maybe doesn't do the best job at accruing value, so a lot of people gravitate towards, your Kujiras, Injectives, and Says. So Say is another one that I think can perform quite well. Nia Protocol is another layer 1 as well that I think is also a good one, especially given the AI narrative. So Nia's unique because it kind of kills two birds with one stone. Of course, it is a layer 1 and it's part of this broader layer 1 trade, but due to the fact that Ilya, the founder, is a big AI enthusiast, and actually Nia in the beginning was an AI protocol before it shifted into becoming a standalone blockchain, I think the market is gravitating towards it as a kind of L1 AI proxy. And the other thing is, you've got the Nvidia conference in 2 days. Maybe it's happening around the time of watching this video, where he's actually speaking. So it is a hype trade, but it also has nice fundamentals that underpin it, and of course is under the layer 1 narrative. One point that I want to make about narratives, I probably say the word narrative a million times in this video, I apologize, but it's so important as a concept to understand in crypto, because individual alts, and you may be annoyed with me saying this, but I think this is the truth, individual alts are less important in terms of which alt you actually long versus the sector or the narrative that the alts are actually under. So if you want to actually kill it in the bull market, don't look for individual alts, look for narratives, AI, gaming, meme coins, L1s, and then you can kind of find the best ones within them. And you'll notice when I structure my content, this is generally how my mind works, and that's because that's what I've had the best success doing. When a layer 1 trade is rampant, you're searching for the strongest layer 1s. When the AI trade is rampant, you're searching for the strongest AI coins. Even if something's not trading strongly right now, but you believe it will, let's say like real world assets, you're super bullish on them, you can kind of filter by this sector and find the best coins instead of randomly putting together a portfolio of altcoins. So this is something I've been talking about for a while, but it's been fresh on my mind lately, that the narrative trade in 2024 is so strong, and it's really what's powering a lot of these altcoin pumps. And I mean, meme coins recently and AI coins have been the greatest examples of this. So a couple more L1s I'm interested in before I actually move on to AI and gaming and some of the other narratives I want to discuss today is Sui. Sui's one that is starting to break out of this pattern on the 4 hourly and the daily. Sui hasn't really had a massive run yet. Of course, from its lows, it's run up a lot, but it's not up like a 10, 20x like a lot of other layer 1s. And there's also been periodic periods of outperformance for Sui, but I think it's only a matter of time before it goes on a big run. So that's another one that I'm accumulating on major dips. And Alf, this is probably the riskiest layer 1 here, alongside Zeta actually, is a lower market cap layer 1 that I am currently accumulating. I won't get too deep into it in today's video because that is what tomorrow's video is for, but they're building a lot of cool tech, and it kind of gives me exposure to some L1 tech that's lower down the risk curve, because I can't just invest in multi-billion-dollar protocols. I also have to have exposure to things in the 200, 300, $400 million range that, can give me those 10, 20x's. I did talk about this in a video a few days ago, which is called 100x altcoins, with the whole principle of diversifying, not just across narratives and coins, but also across ranges of risk and market cap. Because if your entire portfolio is just Sol, Nia, Ethereum, Matic, like they're all multi-billion-dollar protocols, you're not necessarily giving yourself depending on your risk tolerance, you might be super risk averse. But for me, I want to hit those big gainers. So I do want to have some exposure in every sector to lower market cap narrative trades as well. In the layer 1 space, typically these are between 100 mil and $1 billion because they tend to be priced a lot higher. Anything in the $10 to $20 million range is a layer 1, usually a no-go because good layer 1 tech takes quite a bit of backing and probably requires more funding than $20 million can buy you in terms of a valuation. So now let's move on to AI. AI is another super hot narrative. Nvidia's in a couple days. Of course, this is a narrative that on major dips I am accumulating. I'm not going to talk about things like Render, BitTensor, FET, etc. because I've talked about them a lot in the past. Obviously, we're significantly up, I think up a 6 or 7x on our Render call. But I'm going to move on to some of the coins that I haven't spoken about as much. Arweave is one that we're starting to get a dip on. It did wick lower yesterday. This is one that I actually added to my bags because I missed the initial trade. I had some of a position, but my position was significantly underexposed versus what I wanted. So I added to Arweave, and they actually launched this new supercomputer, which looks absolutely amazing. It's a hyper-parallel computer, which is basically providing mass infrastructure to underpin their network because they're basically a decentralized storage protocol. So what that computer will do is support permanent data storage. Now, I've got 3 more AI coins that I've been adding to my positions, and I do plan on adding to these positions as well. The first one is Ator. It's been an absolute beast. I mean, since it broke out of this accumulation range, it's been on an absolute tear, broke past its all-time high, now trading at around $3. A lot of big creators talking about it. I remember Becca talking about it the other day. So there's a lot of firepower behind this. And that's not just being driven by narrative, it's actually being driven by tech. So just to give you a bit of an insight into what Ator is, it's essentially the largest global anonymous routing system leveraging a decentralized privacy protocol, on-chain incentives, and signature hardware to scale its network. They just announced the first external utility protocol, which is being built on Ator, ZKML Systems, which is building the first ZK-powered instant encrypted messaging app with all messaging traffic encrypted through the Ator network. So it's basically the ultimate privacy layer for applications to build upon. They also have some cool hardware as well, which you can actually operate on your own local home network to keep your network secure at home. So for example, any device, any smart device that connects to the internet, your fridge these days, your lights, of course, any devices that are connected to the internet, these devices are kept safe via this hardware, which leverages the network, but also enables you to earn yield, so earn income for actually keeping your network safe. So I think it's an interesting vertical because this is a protocol which I think could appeal to normal people. I mean, you go to any, I say normal, hopefully we're all somewhat normal, but when I say normal, I mean non-crypto people. It's quite funny, but yeah, essentially non-crypto people, they will, I think, really understand this because you're basically telling them, look, this piece of hardware, it's going to keep your network more secure, and you're also going to earn money from it at the same time. I mean, it's a pretty good sell, right? But there's also way more that Ator's building beyond just the hardware. So obviously their network, this is going to facilitate all sorts of things like encrypted file sharing, anonymized storage, etc. And they can do so much on the network, and many different applications can leverage their technology. And you guys know I'm very bullish on the DeepIn sector. DeepIn is one of my, it's not technically AI, but DeepIn does help power AI and AI applications so they can plug into DeepIn to utilize compute. And one more interesting thing about Ator that I want to point out is it doesn't have many exchange listings. BingX, KuCoin, MexiCoinX doesn't have a Bybit, doesn't have a BitGet, doesn't have a Binance, Coinbase. So I always do like protocols like this that are doing decent volume, have a lot of hype, are rising in market cap. I think the market cap's now 300 million, yet don't have major exchanges. That just gives it that extra room for growth, and I do like that about the protocol. All right, moving on to the final 2 AI plays in today's video. The penultimate one is RSS3. I actually did call this on the show, as you can see here, at 25 cents. It actually ended up breaking out of this range that I had outlined and pumping all the way to 58 cents. It's now come back to 45. So this is now back in a decent accumulation range, in my opinion. 40 to 45 cents is that level that you can actually mark out on the charts where I become more interested, especially on major dips. I am currently in a long position, but this is an interesting range for me. So RSS3 dipping back into this pocket, and they just announced their alpha mainnet, which was massive, massive news. And they also just announced an open source on-chain AI agent architecture called Open Agent, which allows on-chain AI agents to be built in hours instead of months, leveraging the RSS3 network. So basically what RSS3 is, it's technically a layer 2, but it's an open information layer to enable AI indexing. So AI infrastructure plays I really like. I alluded to the infrastructure thing earlier in the video when I discussed layer 1s. It's no different when it comes to the AI niche, and that's why RSS3 is an interesting one for me. Combined just with the price action, the hype, the NVIDIA conference, the AI narrative being strong, I think these coins could perform really, really well. So that is one that I've been accumulating. And the final AI coin I want to discuss is AOS, another one I've been accumulating. This is a bet not only on AI, but deep in as a broader sector, because you get exposure to AI compute via their Web3 AI ecosystem. You get exposure to decentralized data storage through their Web3 data storage protocol, video streaming as well, which was one of the initial verticals they launched with. And also you get access to nodes, which enable you to earn AOS rewards. So it's pretty much a well-rounded deep in network that covers AI storage and streaming. So it is a nice bet, I think, that encompasses a wide variety of use cases underneath the deep in and AI sectors, which are two sectors, as you know, I'm very bullish on. Now let's move on to the gaming narrative. What are the coins I'm accumulating on dips in gaming? And then let's move on to the miscellaneous sector of today's video, which is just a bunch of random altcoins that I've been accumulating. And the final one, as I mentioned at the start of the video, presents a really interesting trade. So let's get into the gaming coins and let's go quick. The first one's immutable. Don't need to say much. It's a blue chip. The reason it's on my accumulation list is because, to be honest, I'm underexposed to immutable. Mavia is also on my list. Why is Mavia on my list? Same reason as IMX. I'm underexposed. I wasn't in the pre-sale. I didn't buy in at launch. I faded it at launch. It pumped to $10. I felt FOMO, but it's great. It dipped yesterday. It went down to 6. It's still in the mid 6s. This is one that I've actively started accumulating, and I mean, they've been killing it in terms of mobile users, so I really like that. Beam, similar to IMX's infrastructure, I've been accumulating Beam because I really like what they're doing. I think they're a blue chip of the gaming space, and they actually just launched their first game, Forgotten Playland, which I am an earlier investor in, but I have a pretty small bag in all honesty, so I have been accumulating additional Forgotten Playland in tandem with actually holding my original allocation. So I think this can perform well. It's one of these situations where, you know, a new token launches, a lot of early jeeters kind of sell their bag and then price struggles to perform, but eventually it can, of course, move to the upside after some of that initial selling's flushed out. It's at a 38 mil market cap. Don't think that's crazy at all. 700 mil FDV, a little bit higher, but it's a low float. So low float means there's not a lot of circulating supply, which obviously means when there's a bit of buy volume, the price can push up much faster. And another one that's in a similar boat that I'm also an early investor in to Forgotten Playland is AEG. Another token that's launched, kind of been choppy price action since launch, actually dipped decently yesterday, been sitting around the 20-cent level. This is another one that you have some early sellers trying to exit, but at a $199 million FDV, for what they're building, for the IP that they have, I don't think this is a bad look at all. They have the Wheel of Time IP. Their game is very cool. It looks like Magic the Gathering, and it also plays well, so they can also stack more IP on top of that. I think this is one of those ones where people actually play the game when it fully releases and people experience it for themselves, especially fans of the Wheel of Time series. I think they'll realize this is actually a very cool product. And yeah, hopefully the price also matches that enthusiasm. But for now, it's trading at a relatively low valuation in my opinion. But obviously I'm an early investor, so I am biased, but I wouldn't have invested if I wasn't bullish on the concept. Now going into the miscellaneous section. So other altcoins I've been accumulating. The first one's Rune. Rune's an absolute beast. This is actually one that I was buying throughout the bear market. Probably not as much as I should have, but that's easy to say in hindsight. But Rune is pretty much your ultimate reflexivity bet in the market. So it's actually a very strong beta to BTC and ETH because essentially it facilitates cross-chain swaps amongst these assets. It's one of the only usable, in my opinion, cross-chain dexes in the market right now. It's very reflexive considering in order to power the yields on the platform, you need to have Bitcoin and ETH deposited in the platform to facilitate swaps via the Omni pool. So the TLDR to explain that is the more TVL that enters, the higher price goes. And in a bull market, there's more swap volume, as you can see in front of you. The on-chain yield grows, which incentivizes people to LP, which adds to the TVL, which means the price goes up even faster. So it does have a positive flywheel, which is why Rune is one of the strongest, hardest hitting movers, most powerful movers in a bull run, subsequently, it's also one of the worst performers in a bear market. So if you're in a bull market, you want to be holding Rune. In a bear market, you don't want to be holding Rune. It's really that simple. So if you're relatively bullish, consider some Rune exposure, in my opinion. I've got a very small bag, but I'm just saying that because it's true. Because it's generally exhibited a strong flywheel effect in a bull market. Another one is TON. I did a full video on this a few days ago, but this did have a decent pullback. Any more major pullbacks, I'll be adding to my TON position. And then the final token that I want to discuss today, last but not least, is AVO. So AVO is very interesting because you may know it as Ribbon Finance. So originally, Ribbon Finance, which was a decentralized options protocol, they recently launched a new protocol which enables futures, options, perps, strategies all in one place for people to trade, which is an absolute killer protocol, by the way. The volume has been insane in terms of people trading over there. But what's actually happening is RBN holders will be able to redeem their token for AVO. So it's going to be a one-to-one swap. But Ribbon's trading at $1.45 and AVO's trading at $2.83. So it's basically double your money. Now, there's a caveat. There's a 2-month redemption period. So in order to double your money, you're going to be locked for 2 months, which means illiquid for 2 months. So if you want to take a gamble and you're betting on the fact that AVO's not going to drop too much in price, or you're happy to lock up for 2 months, you're basically getting a 50% discount if you want to look at it that way. But you also have to factor in the premium of liquidity. A lot of traders, they value liquidity, and that's the major reason right now why Ribbon's trading at a discount, because people would rather their liquidity than the discount. But I'm bullish on AVO. I really like it. They had Binance Launch Pool, which is absolutely massive. Not many protocols get Binance Launch Pool. So obviously they're trading on Binance. And if you've had to play around with their protocol, it's one of the only protocols that actually has decent liquidity for IOUs. So this enables you to trade pre-launch tokens. So think about Wormhole, hasn't even launched yet, you can trade it. Blast hasn't launched yet, you can trade it. Parcel hasn't launched yet, you can trade it. So this is probably something I'm going to cover in a future video, but IOUs are a very cool, so pre-launch tokens, way to get exposure and actually trade upcoming events before the rest of the market, which is very cool. Of course, you also have your perps, which you can trade amongst a bunch of coins. They've also got a bunch of meme coins as well. So I think it's honestly one of the strongest DEX products that's launched in recent times. And they do have those big backers like Paradigm, Dragonfly, Coinbase as well behind them. So those are some of the protocols I'm accumulating. Obviously not a comprehensive list of my entire portfolio, but these are the coins that I've identified that are either showing strength or I need more of in my portfolio. I just want to add a couple caveats. As I said at the start of the video, accumulating on major dips is the way to go in a bull market. I still wouldn't chase pumps on green days. Yesterday was a great example of a day to buy a dip. A lot of coins are still down, and I'm just kind of nibbling them at the moment. I recently took a couple nibbles across a couple meme coins after they pulled back significantly. So you're still best in a bull market to look at major dips. Don't FOMO into major pumps. You will get these red days. I showed you 8 to 9 examples of red days in the run-up on the last bull run. But when you get these red days, treat them sparingly. Take advantage of them because they're not going to come around that often in a bull run. And you want to maximize your cost basis in this market. So that would be my final point here. This is a dip buying list more than it is just like an ape randomly and hope list. And of course, I'm adding to things all the time and I may have missed coins. So if I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. In tomorrow's video, I'm doing a layer 1 deep dive. I'm going to go a lot deeper into the layer 1 thesis, give you some more layer 1s, and also look at the price action and how it's resembling last cycle. So make sure you have the notification bell on so you don't miss that. And if you do want to trade any altcoins I discussed today, you can do so on BitGet using the link in the description. If you click it, you'll get access to a $30,000 sign-up bonus. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of your day. Happy weekend if you are watching on the weekend. Peace out.